Hello everybody and welcome to yet another episode of Who Knew, the weekly show where we discuss all things pop culture, comic books, movies, games and TV shows and tell you all the things you might not know about them even though you definitely already do. It's another week, plenty to talk about again, and we're here to bring comic book, movie and TV show news straight to your ear holes as we do every single Monday. I'm Harry and as ever I'm joined by my esteemed co-host Matthew.
Pleasure to be here.
And Annabelle couldn't be with us today again. She's fallen ill with tonsillitis. So
sympathies to her.
Yeah, hopefully she gets better soon, and I don't want to catch it, so stay out the studio. Well, with the intro done, as ever, we shall dive straight into the news. So what have we got this week?
Do we want to talk about the Sausage Party trailer?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that. I remember hearing about this. Okay. I guess start.
Yeah, we should explain what it is.
For those of you who don't know, Sausage Party is it's a street slang for, I guess, what's considered a
largely male-orientated.
Largely male-orientated social gathering. And the infamous friendship group of Hollywood of Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, etc., have come together for many, how should we say, mediocre projects in the past. This is their newest one, and it is an animated film by the name of Sausage Party that is about sausages and food in general. And I believe from the trailer, food's sole aim from the supermarket is to get home with a human.
Yeah.
And it all seems quite happy and jolly at the beginning of the trailer. They're all very excited to go home. And then they see a potato being peeled and realise that there is more horror to being at home than there is in the supermarket.
It's like the bit in Toy Story 3 when they realise the daycare isn't what it's all cracked up to be.
Yeah, it looks really interesting because I first heard about this, I'd say about a year ago now. I remember just reading a couple of sentences that it had been green-lit and I thought, oh no, this is going to be terrible because a lot of the rest of their films are just mediocre at best. But having watched the trailer for this, it looks like it's going to be really, really good. The humour seems quite up there. They haven't thrown too many jokes at the trailer. It's solid and they seem to have consolidated the trailer mainly from, I would assume, the first part of the film.
Yeah, there's probably like a few little clips in there from later on, but it's not like you know where it's going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to it, much to my surprise.
I feel like I've heard about it just like you, but hadn't heard that much about it. And then suddenly it kind of comes out. I think it premiered at like South by Southwest as well this week and did fairly well.
Okay.
And so I was like, it looks impressive.
Yeah, it really does. The animation looks good. The story
the Oreo
looks
like
solid.
picking up its second half.
Yeah. Yeah, and the baby carrots.
Yeah.
And the potatoes
with the eyes as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a really solid film. I'm really looking forward to it.
I have no idea how they pitched that though.
No, I really wonder how they worked around the big cheeses at the production companies to get this one made. And I do have a feeling as well that there might be a fair few parents who buy this on DVD or take their kids to the cinema to see this and then realise, oh no, I should have watched the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of animated films. I love all my Toy Story, I love Pixar, all that stuff. And, you know, in terms of TV, like Rick and Morty, BoJack Horseman.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good to see a animated film aimed at a more mature audience, because usually the animated film sector is child orientated.
Yeah, it's kind of Adult Swim gets the bulk of the stuff for them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see a feature-length film that will be animated but of a more mature taste.
Yeah.
So that one's good.
Should we go on to The Killing Joke?
Yes, yeah.
So The Killing Joke is probably like one of the most well-known Batman stories.
Yeah, I'd
like
say it's up there with
like the year one, which is Batman's kind of post-crisis origin.
Death in the Family, perhaps.
Yeah, I feel like that's known for like Jason Todd dying, but everyone seems to forget the bit where the Joker becomes the Iranian ambassador. The Dark Knight Returns, which is like the big kind of one that redefined comics at the times, and then Killing Joke was this standalone thing, or what was designed to be standalone from Alan Moore and Brian Boland. That's more of a Joker story.
Yeah, than a Batman
kind of
story.
Really well acclaimed. Everyone kind of praises the focus on the Joker, and
particularly that last page has become quite infamous for the for those of you who don't know, it's all silhouetted. And the Batman and Joker share a joke, and then the laughter is suddenly cut off, and it's left ambiguous as to what happened, but I believe it's supposed to be that Batman just finally killed the Joker.
That kind of obviously brings into question whether it is canon. Like, aspects of it were kind of taken, but it isn't strictly canon then.
Yeah, it sits weirdly in the centerfold of canon and non-canon, but it is one of the most infamous, one of the most enjoyable Batman universe stories.
And it's now getting an animated movie.
Yes,
which
finally.
I believe the R rating was confirmed probably sometime last year. It was one of those things like, oh, I don't know how they're going to do it without that.
Yeah.
And then they've kind of realised that it has to be. Although they've been pushing it recently anyway. Like Assault on Arkham, I think, has like a Harley and Deadshot sex scene. And like kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Flashpoint
Flashpoint has the Reverse Flash's chest like blown wide open by the revolver.
Yes.
And then the news this week about Killing Joke was that Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill were coming back as Batman and Joker.
Two of the, I would argue, best voice for the role. That was a really bad way of explaining it, but they are the best out of the selection of people who have voiced those two characters respectively.
Well, Conroy was Bats from what, like 1992 till early 2000s, whenever Justice League ended. So like chances are, if you kind of grew up with those cartoons, you'll recognise the voice.
Yeah, like I do. These are the two that were voicing in that period.
This has to be kind of Mark Hamill's biggest role, aside from Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, and he does a very good Joker in the animated series that was on TV.
Like,
that was fantastic.
The Arkham games as well, aside from Origins.
Yeah, strong cast for what should be a good film, because animated movies usually stick quite true to the comics.
Yeah, for some of them they've changed them.
Yeah.
Like Son of Batman, but that's because like Grant Morrison is kind of insane. So quite a bit of Netflix news again.
Again, it's all hotting up because Daredevil's on the way.
Yeah,
so.
well, it'll be out by the time this goes out.
Yeah.
So they had the premiere earlier in the week, or sometime last week, and Mike Coulter, who plays Luke Cage, very kind of nonchalantly just said that his Luke Cage series will be out September 30th.
Awesome. Following them up very rapidly.
That's sooner than I was expecting.
I was expecting it to be, well, later than that.
Yeah, I know they've wrapped now, I think.
Okay.
But I think it's kind of very close. I was kind of expecting that November, unless of course they want to do it not necessarily so Daredevil has like a set time, and then Jessica Jones has November or something.
Yeah, because they did. Jessica Jones was November, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Daredevil's like 2 weeks out at the most.
Yeah.
It's kind of post House of Cards, pre Orange is the New Black.
It seems to be that Marvel are trying to push it sort of approximately every 6 months, getting out two series. Yeah, that was the original plan.
So. Some people were curious, or are curious, whether we'll be getting like Jessica Jones season 2 and Daredevil season 3. I don't know whether it will happen, just because.
Yeah, because the Defenders will come in.
Like because the first seasons of the Netflix shows have always taken longer. Like I think Daredevil started probably early 2014, took about 12-13 months, and then obviously now they've been able to do it in less than 11.
Yeah.
But for them to then kind of do another 11 months of that on top of Defenders needing to have writers brought in, and then like Charlie Cox and Kristen Ritter wouldn't get a break.
No, they would be just work like dogs to get that out. So I do think wisest move would to be, as it is now, 2 seasons of Daredevil, 1 season of everything else before we move into.
Well, I'm cool with them like putting Luke Cage and Iron Fist in the same series after their first ones if they wanted to.
Yes, yeah.
Because I feel like that'll be a dynamic that works really well as it does.
Hopefully so, as it does in the comics.
Still haven't got that official Finn Jones confirmation, but
nothing.
I imagine that will kind of be soon.
It's all but confirmed. We're just waiting for that actual Marvel to come out and go, yeah, it's him.
And then there was a big Daredevil trailer last week, and then kind of a smaller one a couple days ago, focusing more on the wider stuff, because obviously we had the Punisher one and then the more Elektra-focused one, but this kind of sets out where the season is heading. Lots of fights against ninjas, and
I'm really looking forward to it. It was, I mean, all the bloody Netflix Marvel stuff has been stellar, so I don't see why this wouldn't be more of the same.
Reviews are coming in as well over the past couple of days.
Okay.
And they're praising John Bernthal as the Punisher. They kind of think that some of the stuff is stronger, that like people have kind of grown into their roles.
Yeah, as you would have hoped.
Yeah, I think they've said like kind of there's an absence of, or you can kind of feel Kingpin not being there, but that's because he was kind of such a strong, emphasized character in that show.
Yeah, such a presence in that series.
And then it's doing stuff differently now. Like it's kind of going Punisher, then Elektra, and then probably doing something with him at the end.
I do think the lack of a Kingpin is, well, it's intentional, isn't it? He's in prison. It's meant to be a Hell's Kitchen without his presence, or he's at least in the background. I don't know what to expect from it yet. I assume he will appear by name and through other people at the very least. He's probably still controlling stuff even from the inside. I'm very excited to see where they'll go with this. Hopefully I'll get the time to watch it between now and next week, although I have a busy weekend, so
we'll probably talk about it to some degree on the show next week.
100%. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. And Luke Cage, because he was was great in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And so I would just expect more of the same. Hopefully they'll get Jessica maybe to appear in Luke Cage at some point.
To a degree. The end of Jessica Jones was like he needs to take some time away, but I feel like maybe last couple episodes she'll be involved in like somehow, because their relationship is kind of a huge arc for both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Indiana Jones 5 has been confirmed by Disney and Lucasfilm. It has come off the back of what was rumoured, and it's never been confirmed, but I assume it would be true because this has happened. When they were casting Star Wars 7, they wanted all the original cast back, and they approached Harrison Ford, who plays Indiana Jones and Han Solo in Star Wars, and they said, will you come back and be Han Solo? And he said, not a chance, because he's grumpy and hates Star Wars, or did. He seems to have warmed up to it
he's
in
definitely
recent
mellowed.
months. Yeah, and so they obviously negotiated hard and heavy with him, and it is rumoured that it came to the conclusion that he would do the role if he was allowed to do another Indiana Jones film, because his reasoning, he stated in interviews, was that he enjoys Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull left a sour taste in his mouth, as well as everybody who adored that franchise, and he himself doesn't want to leave it hanging on that kind of ending. So he wants to end it with a one last hurrah and get a good, enjoyable, true to form Indiana Jones film.
Yeah,
so
Spielberg's back to direct as well.
Yes,
that was probably part of the deal, or something they pushed for him.
I would assume so, to get the best out of it after what happened last time, and that's due to come out, at least slated for anyway, 2019.
Yeah, I feel like that it'll probably hit that date. There's no reason for it to be delayed, really.
There's plenty of time to get it done.
Yeah.
All things considered, hopefully Harrison Ford won't be crashing any more planes between now and then, so we can actually see it.
They've just removed all doors from the set in case.
all doors that open and close.
Spielberg, before Harrison walks through a door, he just lies down, so there's a small gap for him to slide under should it happen.
They've just got a load of runners in as like cannon fodder for...
Go! Go!
Get under there! Go!
You're doing the stunts first.
So
I'm curious about what they're going to do, because like the Chris Pratt thing was like ever since Guardians, like, oh yeah, he should be in Indiana Jones.
That was I guess he was front runner for...
And he's definitely been asked about it. There's no way that hasn't come. And I think the Hollywood Reporter said like, oh, it's still something in debate. It hasn't officially been denied. Like, no one said no.
Yeah.
No one's agents have passed on the script or anything. I feel like it'll be very Force Awakens in that Harrison's passing the torch.
Yeah, I would assume, because they're going to want to keep the ball rolling if it's successful.
Yeah, I think the problem with Crystal Skull was not necessarily the idea behind it, kind of the 50s setting, in the same way that the 30s had to deal with the Nazis and them going after religious heirlooms and things.
Yeah.
That it makes sense for a 50s story to be about
the Red Scare.
Yeah, and then kind of extrapolate that into aliens and things like that. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of the execution, and then the CGI wasn't as strong as it could be.
I like the story where they go with it, but it is the way they pulled it off. Like, they had a good idea, and the premise of the whole thing was strong. It was just, I don't know what went wrong and where, but the payoff just wasn't that great. I mean, there's the infamous Shia LaBeouf swinging through the jungle with monkeys scene that's just A, not needed, and B, looks terrible, and there's a lot of sort of subpar CGI.
I think it was maybe at the time it was, we don't really know what to do with, like, at that time it was kind of, what if Harrison doesn't want to do another one after this?
Yeah.
And so we bring something in. Maybe, like, the idea of Indy having a son with Marion isn't a bad idea.
No, not at all.
And I don't think Shia is a bad actor per se. Like,
no,
as much flack as he gets for Crystal Skull and Transformers, people love him in Fury. People have loved the things that he's done on the internet in recent years. The elevator stream. I think, was that the University of Cambridge? I think he stood in the lift for 24 hours, but wasn't
English university.
Yeah, and he wasn't pointing the camera at them or anyone. It was just kind of at the door level thing.
Yeah,
and just talking.
And he was in there for a long while, just chatting about stuff, and everybody's been lapping that up. He did his stream of all the films he's ever been in, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it does make sense. And he wasn't. I would say he wasn't terrible in the Crystal Skull. I mean, when I saw it at first,
it's like 8 years ago.
Yeah, so I was 10, 11, and I enjoyed it at the time. It's only as I've got older that I've kind of realised this wasn't that great, but it's by no means absolute absolutely god-awful.
Yeah, it's worse than kind of Temple of Doom, which I put at the bottom, or did put at the bottom of the original trilogy. But I still think it's maybe like a 7 that dips down to a 6 at points, like the kind of monkey swinging.
If they can get the strength of the premise again.
Yeah. Harrison's surely got to be invested now. Like, there's energy in his Star Wars performance.
Yeah,
like,
so
think about kind of the amount of quotes from him that people are like, that's not how the Force works, or you bypass the compressor.
He's definitely got the gusto,
renewed,
that's needed for this.
Yeah.
And from what rumours say, at least, he did want this to happen.
Yeah.
So it should be good. And I do wonder if they will pass the torch to someone else at the
I
end
think
of it.
it would be the right way to do it, just to kind of be safe. And even if then you wanted to have Indian in a supporting role.
Yeah, like Sean Connery in the third one. They could
Although he's older than Connery now.
Yeah. But I do think it would do them well, not only monetarily wise, but in terms of continuation of the franchise, to pass it on in a gentler manner than they did before it. I think they should keep India alive as opposed to what they did with Star Wars when they passed the torch. And having in a supporting role to someone like Chris Pratt, who when I first heard these rumours, I was very happy with that. I think he could do well with it. We'll now go into the Daily Ridley, which is our not quite daily, in fact it's more weekly, talk about anything and everything to do with Star Wars. And so the big news of the week is that the young Han Solo movie that's going to focus on the origins of Chewbacca and Han and how they meet and such has had its final shortlist brought down to 3 people.
First one is Jack Rayner, who was in Transformers Age of Extinction.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see it.
He plays the boyfriend role who drives a rally car. That's all I remember about him.
Next one is Alden Ehrenreich. I've butchered that. It's Ehren, then Reich.
Okay.
And he's in Hail Caesar. Have you seen the clip with him and Ralph Fiennes? "'Twere that it were so simple."
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He's the young actor in that.
Okay. And then last is Taron Egerton, who played Eggsy in Kingsman. And most recently, the trailers have come out for Eddie the Eagle, where he plays the Olympian Eddie the Eagle. I would say of those 3, he is my favourite to move forward.
Well, he's the one that's kind of had a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, and to shine in a not only central role, but quite popular roles as well.
The one that looks kind of closest is maybe Jack Rayner.
In terms of how he facially and all that. Yeah.
I think people obviously raved about the Anthony Ingruber Han Solo impression and the fact that he was a younger version in Age of Adeline a few months ago, but I feel that's why they didn't go for him. Yeah. Because it would be very much an impression.
And you want more than an impression for something like this. They need to make it their own.
Yeah. If it was just based on looks, then Jack Rayner probably had it. For someone who didn't have that great of a role in Transformers, I'm assuming, obviously.
Yeah, it's a terrible film and a terrible
if he's the one
role.
that's the front runner, then he's obviously doing good work. In the same way that I can't remember the name, the newcomer in Episode 8, how there was Laura Dern, Benicio del Toro, and then the other person.
Yes, can't remember.
Yeah, but the fact that she kind of beat out people like Tatiana Maslany, and who's from Orphan Black, and Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin, like that says a lot. I feel like they're kind of looking for those stars which aren't instantly recognizable.
Yeah, and that they can form to their franchise. I would,
because people are already against this movie
from the start. They were. It's Harrison Ford's the only Han Solo, etc., etc. I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily dying to see the story, but I feel like it'll be done in the right way.
I would hope so.
Like, you've got Lawrence Kasdan on board, who clearly loves riding Han Solo.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, his son's helping out with it, and people are like, nepotism. It's like, Jake Kasdan's done quite a bit in Hollywood already.
And is it Miller and Lord
that
are on
one
this from Jump Street, and they've got the kind of cheeky humour that is necessary for a character like Han to have in their previous films. So,
like, for making films which aren't meant to work. Jump Street, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Lego Movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be fine.
I have faith in the pedigree of the team that are behind this.
I feel like maybe if they hadn't announced they were doing the movie, and then a press release comes out in a couple months saying, oh, by the way, this guy's young Han Solo, then maybe I would have been a bit more against it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll wait and see. Like, there's kind of no reason to dismiss the film straight away.
No, exactly. And I mean, everybody's going to go and see it regardless of whether they hate it or not. It's going to get people in because it's Star Wars and it's Han Solo.
I saw something really interesting from the Pablo Hidalgo works works for Lucasfilm. He's basically like the guy in charge of the story group who keeps everything making sure nothing conflicts. And he said something along the lines of all of the anthology movies except for Rogue One, so presuming there's kind of more ideas that were pitched in there as well, came from Lucas himself.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
So I feel like, I don't know like how detailed they were. Like I doubt he told them the entire story to Rogue One.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was maybe like, what if we see what happens when the Death Star? Because they threw out all of his other ideas.
Yeah.
So to keep those.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because they were, well, yeah, they just, no, we are not doing those for the new trilogy, so.
I think one day maybe we'll see them in some way, though.
Possibly, yeah, I think.
Maybe in like a making of the new trilogy book.
I'd be interested to see what his ideas were at the very least, so I think they will be released at some point.
The Art of Force Awakens book or something has concept art for when Rey was called Kira and Finn was this guy called Sam who had like a Wookiee partner, I believe. And I think that's from Michael Arndt's original draft, and to my knowledge nothing from Michael Arndt's versions in that movie.
It's made it through. Yeah.
Yeah, even though he has the credit and has done a few interviews.
A man with a Wookiee partner sounds eerily suspicious to what we already know.
Remake fans are going to have a field day if that happens.
Yeah. Oh dear.
They're still filming in Dubrovnik as well.
Yes, yeah. I saw a few more set photos from there.
Yeah, I've started kind of not looking at those. I feel like eventually we're going to see cast members and be able to piece together the basic idea.
I've already had the Gwendolyn Christie is back on set as Phasma, so she's back definitely. That's another piece of news for you there.
Yeah, I feel like she was confirmed anyway beyond that.
Yeah, she pretty much was, but it's just things like that where I'm a bit like, oh, I kind of wish I could just not stumble across these things, but you know.
Yeah.
And I guess the other big piece of news that's kind of linked to this.
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll get to it. It'll make sense in a while.
Yeah, it will make sense. Tomb Raider is getting a movie reboot. This seems to be in the wake that all video game movies are kind of restarting, where it's been a long enough time for them to have another crack at this genre that in the early 2000s was genuinely quite terrible. And there are rumours of Daisy Ridley of Star Wars fame, hence the link. There you go. She will, rumoured at least, be playing Lara Croft. So,
and it's based on the most recent reboot of the games as well.
Yes,
which are
very
good.
The
first one was great. I haven't had a chance to play the second one, but
I've
to my knowledge,
playthroughs, they're good, really good. And I think Daisy Ridley is all but perfect for this.
Yeah.
I was really happy when I heard that. It's a yes from me.
Yeah, well, like the scene of her in the crashed Star Destroyer is basically kind of tomb raiding.
Yeah, exactly. She's like climbing all over that to scavenge. So yeah, and she's got the right look with the brown hair and the slender body and all that. You don't have to always have it, but it makes sense to stick to what we've seen in the video games. And she's a brilliant actress. I'm 100% behind this. I'd love to see it. Yeah, it would be great.
I don't know whether I ever saw the Angelina Jolie ones. The more I think about it,
they're really bad.
I expected that.
It seems to be that their only concern was getting someone who looked like Lara Croft in the games.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, I think they thought that would be enough to make it good, but they're really bad. They're so bad. But that was at a time when all video game movies were just something to behold.
Yeah.
Christ.
Well, this time, hopefully, it'll be better.
That brings us to the end of the Daily Ridley for this week. So we shall now move into our main topic, which is possibly the biggest and most exciting news of the week. We missed this at first in our recording for last week.
It was the day after.
Yeah, it dropped the day after our recording of last week's show, which is why it didn't come up last Monday. So we're talking about it now.
It feels so long ago.
Yeah, it does. But it's the Civil War trailer, and they revealed Spider-Man. We finally got to see him, and the internet's gone mad crazy.
Yeah.
So,
like, Spider-Man aside, did you think it was a better trailer than the first one? I feel like the first one had a bit more impact for me.
Yeah.
Because of, like, he was my friend.
If this trailer didn't have Spider-Man, it wouldn't have been...
Yeah. This feels like the more mass marketable one. Like for the people who aren't going to see Civil War, it's like, oh, look at these fights and everyone involved.
Yeah, and now Spider-Man's here, grabbing that sweet revenue.
Yeah, I feel like Underoos got a big spike on Google as well from everywhere but the US, because I was like, I have no idea what these are. And then I saw people doing it, like, are they like Huggies?
What are they? I didn't bother searching it. I just assumed
it's basically
they were...
superhero pajamas, but for small children in the 70s or something, and they've like kind of survived.
Okay, yeah, I can see why they would draw that link.
The onesie before it was kind of a thing to a degree.
Yeah, I just assumed Underoos were like long johns or something, and then because Spider-Man is like a figure-hugging spandex thing, I assumed that was the joke. But I can see that is kind of similar in where I was drawing it from. So I guess the big question is, what did you think of Spider-Man in this?
I don't think it's bad. There's no stretch that, but I'm not as invested in Spider-Man as kind of other things because of the so many movies that we've seen, and like people were kind of raving about the suit. It's a nice suit, I'll give it that. It wasn't like the second coming of Christ.
No.
To me, it's red, it's blue, there's some black bits on it. Congratulations. I've seen this. What did you think, being the biggest Spidey fan?
Yeah, being the biggest Spidey fan in the whole wide world ever. I'm not going to make that claim, but I'm a pretty big Spider-Man fan. Well, as you know, when you said about it in our Facebook chat, I was like, I'm not going to look at that. Oh, Lord Almighty, have grace upon my soul. I don't want to see Spider-Man until I get into the film, which is what I was hoping they would have done. I was hoping they would save that Spidey reveal for when you're in the cinema and he bloody comes out from off screen, swings in, and you're like, oh my god, it's Spider-Man. And I did think, because so many trailers had gone by without any clue, not even a web or a thwip, that he would be kept for the movie. He wasn't. And so you said about it, and I was like, don't tell me anything. I don't want to see, of course, what happens when I go on any internet site. You know, I expect it from social networks, but bloody like BBC News and stuff. So it was spoiled for me within 15 minutes of saying I didn't want to see it until the film. So once I'd seen it, I thought I may as well dive in and get a little look at this. So I watched the trailer, and underwhelming, to be honest. You can tell the CGI is not quite finished. On the suit. It looks very...
It informs quite a bit about his role. Like, I'm taking that to be his introduction in the movie.
I would assume so.
Because I don't understand why you would have that kind of line if you were, like, kind of going to have him a few scenes earlier. Like, maybe to show Peter Parker talking to Tony in kind of plain clothes, and then do that.
Yeah, CGI's not finished, and so that alone kind of sapped it for me. I'd have rather, again, waited to see it fully finished in the film. And because of that, I know they said that we are going to see a Spider-Man in a homemade costume.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is that the homemade costume?
It's kind of homemade.
Is it exact?
Because there's the eye thing where they
the eyes
lenses.
kind of camera lenses. So I'm wondering, is that Stark tech? Because if it is, it's a bit shit. But if it's homemade, I can forgive it for how it looks. You know, the camera lens eyes are a big thing that everybody's on about, but I didn't like them because they look so much like a camera lens, like they slowly arch down. And I get that they want to go for the emotion like they did with Deadpool recently with the moving eyes, but I don't think that works when the eyes are done on, set, I guess, apertures.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I think it's mostly stems from wanting to have that in the cinema, that big moment, and that was robbed from me. But providing that the suit is unfinished, and that's what I'm assuming it is, I have high hopes for what it might look like in the film. Although I do still maintain that despite all the things the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did wrong, that was the best Spider-Man suit we've ever seen on screen.
Yeah. I saw people praising this because of like the Ditko-esque design from the 70s.
Yeah,
that's 60s, 70s.
Yeah, everybody's been saying it's Ditko-esque, but for me personally, I would claim that I can see where it's drawn from, but seems more reminiscent of the newest Amazing Spider-Man run, because he's got the eyes and the sort of smaller Spider-Man logo on his chest, and the more black thrown into it as well.
There's like corporate synergy in that Marvel will normally change costumes and things.
Yeah.
Like to a degree, because like Star-Lord kind of has his trench coat now as opposed to the military uniforms. But obviously Sam Wilson is Captain America at the moment.
Yeah.
So they're not afraid to have things different, but they line things up as much as they can.
Yeah.
So
and
there's got to be like a kind of a small idea there.
Yeah.
But the costume was like, here's what it's going to look like. Don't fully copy it. Take a couple of aspects.
Yeah, take aspects from here, there, and throw in your own ideas if you've got any too. I mean, in terms of on paper, it looks like a nice design, and I'm happy with the design. It's just how they executed it in the trailer. It just looks a bit too
I feel like
CGI-y.
it's the stunt, because what he does is he webs the shield.
Yes.
And then it's kind of like a flip in midair onto it's a truck or something.
Yeah, like an airport truck or something like that.
It's because of that flip, because as athletic and acrobatic Tom Holland is, because there were those Instagram videos that went around when people were still on the shortlist for that. Like he's acrobatic. He still probably couldn't do that, and they probably still wouldn't let him do that.
Yeah.
Even with all of the wires in the world. Should we talk about other stuff in the trailer?
Yeah, let's go for that.
So Scarlet Witch versus Vision.
Yes, yeah. Interesting, because those two are traditionally, they're a couple, aren't they, in the comics for some time?
Yeah, for quite a bit.
Yeah. Previously, they were like, oh, bloody hell, who's going to face off against Vision? Vision. It's like, are you missing the beat here? It's obviously Scarlet Witch. But there was a lot of people claiming that the Vision was OP, overpowered, and no one would be able to defeat him. And it's like, you're all forgetting that they've got the other borderline magical character on their side.
Like,
so
to my knowledge, Scarlet Witch's powers have never been truly defined, because they can just do whatever they want with them.
They are at the writer's whim. They only show it shortly, but Vision is on his knees. He looks like he's clenching his fist. So I'd be interested to see where they'll go with that.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe turning the gravity on full force or something.
Yeah,
like to weigh him down.
Oh, there's something interesting I found out. If you notice in all of the trailers, Bucky always has a backpack on him.
Oh yeah,
he's always carrying a backpack. Nothing else is consistent about him other than the backpack. And on Instagram a couple days ago, someone sent a message to Sebastian Stan, a public photo message, asking, is there any significance to the backpack? And Sebastian Stan came back and said that it's the one thing Bucky has, because it's full of notebooks and clippings and his writings that are trying to piece together who he is and all that he can remember. So everything in that backpack is who Bucky is and what he's done. So it's the one tie that he has to who he is, and he keeps it on him in case his memory is wiped or disappears again. So it's quite bittersweet in that he's finding himself but doesn't still fully know who he is.
I feel like that has to be, there's relevance to that in the movie as well.
I would assume so, yeah.
Like, if it isn't the brainwashing, it's that there's something in there related to another character.
Yeah.
And that it's going to be kind of a significant beat, like, well, here's Exhibit A of why I should be fighting him.
Yeah, there's some scenes in there that I've kind of dissected as far... It's purely speculation at this point, but we see T'Challa, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's right.
I got it right, didn't want to butcher it. He's in what looks sort of like a UN type meeting, and then that building blows up and you see him on the floor, and I'm thinking that might be their proxy for the Stamford incident that's in the comic books, and it might be that the Winter Soldier caused that. So you see Black Panther in all the trailers seems to almost exclusively be going after Bucky.
Yeah.
So it makes me think that perhaps Bucky attacked that under the influence of Hydra, annoyed T'Challa, and then he's gone after him, obviously, but now Bucky is free of that control of Hydra. So that could be one way they go, where Bucky is responsible, and that kicks off the need for the registrations and Bucky's role in the story. But then also the other possibility, because Tony Stark seems to be in quite a few scenes with him, is that, if you remember in the Winter Soldier... Zola showed all the newspaper clippings of things that the Winter Soldier or Hydra did, and the death of Tony Stark's parents came up in that. So hinting that it was caused by Hydra. So it could be that Bucky had a hand in killing Tony's parents, and maybe something surfaces about that.
Like that's the scene in which Soldier suggests that.
Yeah,
it's definitely in like the clippings. I don't remember whether it's not said explicitly, but I feel like it's a common enough theory that there's no way it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be the most plausible explanation.
People have kind of slowed down bits of the footage and pointed out other things, but to kind of go into them might spoil kind of later on stuff.
Yeah, so we need to walk the fine line between spoilers and speculation.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of Black Panther, the helicopter, in a way, he just turns around and takes the bullets without feeling anything.
That's the, I would assume, vibranium weave armour that he was wearing.
Yeah, like that's kind of an interesting thing. And also when he's chasing after Bucky, like he jumps over the car, and I swear you can kind of see like speed lines to a degree. Or like the way that he catches the air, which is like, oh, that's quite an interesting way to kind of show how agile he is and everything.
Yeah, and I noticed in the trailer as well, when Black Panther is chasing Captain America through the tunnel full of cars, on foot, Cap and him are running faster than the moving traffic.
Oh yeah.
So they seem to be hinting at just how powerful Black Panther is, in that he can go toe-to-toe with Captain America.
Yeah, well, the Russos kind of did that in Winter Soldier as well, like the early running scene.
Yeah.
And then when he's chasing after Bucky once he's shot Fury, he's kind of crashing through the walls and like zigzagging through the corridors and everything.
Yeah. I love that bit in the Winter Soldier where he rounds the corner and slams the shield into the wall and then has to continue. That's kind of off topic, but it's just showing. Yeah,
that's like a great use of his power in that.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they'll do with Black Panther in this. There's a lot of hints at, his prowess in the trailer. This Civil War it looks amazing.
Yeah,
I think it could be the best film so far for the MCU.
I think it's
got potential at least to do this.
Well, what has it got to beat really? It's like kind of Winter Soldier, Avengers and Guardians.
Yeah, so reckon it could do that. Ant-Man on Hawkeye's bow.
Oh
We
yeah,
got that moment.
I wish they hadn't shown that.
Yeah,
Because as much
so
as people were calling it, I would have loved to see that. In the same way that you kind of have the Spidey moment.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing I wish they had left for the film.
Yeah.
That would
Although
have been
I feel like there's probably going to be a bit more to it than that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think there'll be, because it literally showed him drawing the bow back with him on it. So there'll be more to it.
The one from Avengers: Earth Mightiest Heroes, which was like the cartoon from just the end of the 2000s, has like that, but it's through numerous buildings and things.
Oh, okay.
And then Ant-Man gets big at the end.
Yeah.
And punches guys. Like that was kind of really impressive to see then. I wonder whether they're going to top it or just kind of homage that.
Yeah, I wonder where they'll take that scene, because they could do a lot with it.
Yeah. Tell you what we haven't seen. It's Baron Zemo, Daniel Bruhl's character.
Yeah, we've not seen him yet. Is he's supposed to be quite pivotal?
Well, I don't necessarily know.
A minor?
I don't think he'll be a guy that's just kind of killed off. But like, he won't have that big of a role though. He might be third act to a degree, and come back to whatever happens with Bucky.
Yes.
But I don't think he'll be like the guy behind the Sokovia Accords or anything like that.
No. Yeah, because I've not really heard much about him and what he's going to be doing.
I feel like I've heard that he won't have the signature kind of purple mask and everything.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like that it's a very comic booky costume to adapt.
Very...
Like, in the same way that I feel like Spider-Man is a little bit out of place because of how comic booky his stuff is. Like, it's very unsaturated. Not that like Winter Soldier and Civil War aren't kind of colourful in comparison, like a more dour movie.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of muted in comparison to something like Guardians.
No doubt.
Because Zemo's kind of like quite a big Avengers antagonist if they wanted to have him around for a little bit longer.
I would think they'd keep him around for future use, because they've killed off Ultron now at this point.
Yeah. Well, they can probably find a way for Ultron to come back.
Yeah, true.
But I feel like they've got past the killing the villains thing. I feel like that criticism has been mentioned enough. Like, when would you say that kind of came about? Like, maybe Guardians?
Yeah.
Because of how powerful Ronan is normally.
And then they killed him off in one film.
Yeah, Ant-Man was in production since like 2006.
Yeah.
So I feel like that the antagonist dying was kind of something that they stuck to because of the way that was structured, and then haven't had anything since.
But that's quite a common complaint, with the exception of Loki, that they've not killed off.
Yeah.
One thing I did think up: do you think they will kill a character in this? I
feel like someone has to die.
Yeah, because there's never been really any risk to any of the main characters in the MCU, and at this point, I do think, considering what happens in Civil War in the comic books, there is I won't spoil it, but there is the follow-up story to that is that a big main player character dies.
Yeah, obviously, like, talking about Civil War in the comics, hundreds of characters were involved.
Yeah, so I do wonder whether they will kill off a big player. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, there's the Rhodey in the trailer is shot by a beam of energy, arc reactor goes out and he plummets from the sky. But to show that in the trailer makes me think it's a fake out.
Yeah.
And that he's not a big enough character for the impact to be there if he were to die.
It's there to a degree. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't feel sad.
Oh no. But
it's more, he hasn't had enough time kind of with Tony.
Yeah, exactly, because he's had Iron Man 3's buddy cop bit and the little bit in Iron Man 2, which they were mostly at odds throughout that film.
Yeah. Well, like, even so, kind of, if ignoring Terrence Howard, it would still kind of have an impact, but I feel like it would need to be a bigger one.
Yeah.
It's just the way that now the way the slate's figured, because like without Spider-Man you were going to have Doctor Strange, which like it can be detached from the Marvel kind of main conflict. Black Panther would kind of have some relevance and follow up on it.
Yeah.
And then I think you hit Infinity War with Guardians and Thor, but they're obviously elsewhere. Whereas now it's kind of been moved about and you've got Spider-Man and things. I feel like if it is a big character, then it will kind of, the repercussions will be felt through.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether they're saving it for Infinity War.
Personally, I think it would be Captain America or Iron Man to go if it were going to be.
It's either then, or I feel like it's two players from one of the teams.
Yeah.
But even then, it's pushing it because it's like, who do you kill?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the second you kill Scarlet Witch, people are going to be up in arms because of getting rid of those characters after fighting so hard to have them.
Yeah, and they've already got one. So, but they all still have contracted films left, so it's hard to call what's going to happen. But my guess would be that they would kill off one or maybe two characters, and then with Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet can essentially do anything.
Yeah.
So I think it might be that, let's say Iron Man is killed in this, and then he is resurrected in one part of the Infinity War. So it's almost like, as Infinity War seems to be going, is it will be sort of a new team in the first part who aren't able to do it all, and then they are helped out in the second part by reinforcements or something. And it might be that in the second part, say whoever is killed gets resurrected, and they're like, oh yeah, he's back, and save the day. But I don't really know.
I think if they do, because obviously there's a complaint that death is also meaningless. because of how many fake outs there are.
Yeah.
I feel like if they do bring someone back for Infinity War, that'll be the last time. Like, we can bring him back, but the gauntlet only has this one use, and it will be used up soon.
Yeah.
And
okay.
then he can have, then like whatever character is can have an official passing of the mantle.
Yeah, I do. I will be interested to see if they go with the death of a main play character.
There was one GIF I saw the other day. It's Spider-Man lands on the truck, and then Hawkeye immediately like bolts him in the eye.
It shoots her in the head.
It's like, what if that was the fake out? All of this casting news.
And then they immediately kill off Spider-Man.
Marissa Tomei is just like, they got Marissa Tomei just to walk through the back of the scene, like promising that she'd be in the main Spider-Man movie.
Oh dear. We'll close the discussion there. We've talked about it for long enough.
We'll come back to it after the Easter break, I guess.
Yeah, after it's done and we've seen it. So yeah, that brings main topic to a close for this week. Now we go on to our letters section. We can skip over this though very rapidly because yet again we've not had any letters. Woo! This radio show probably has no one listening to it. But what are you going to do about it? So
hopefully, tell your friends.
Yeah, please tell your friends. Tell your mum, your grandma, dad.
Play it at a Trump protest.
Yeah, play it in public. If you are at work and you listen to this, tell your people at work. Yeah. What a mediocre show this is.
It's not like you've looked over their shoulders as they've typed in their password. Just put it on.
Oh dear. Yeah, we'll quickly skip over the letters section. So we'll now move into our weekly recommendations section. This is the part of the show where we kind of tell you what we've been reading, watching and doing at the moment in the hopes that you can have some, a little bit of get to know us and get some ideas of what you might like to read or watch and all that good stuff. So, yeah, what have you been...
Right, so obviously because Daredevil's coming out in 2 days at the time of recording,
yes.
I haven't got into anything huge because I didn't want to kind of take a break from that. I tried Flaked, the Will Arnett Netflix series.
Okay.
I just think it's really bad.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I've heard, on Twitter and stuff, people have just been like, this is terrible.
It's just so vapid. It's an unfunny BoJack without anything to say about Hollywood or about BoJack, and people have kind of been giving it a pass because they do with Netflix stuff. There are a load of critics who don't like House of Cards, and I'm with them about that. But those people obviously like it.
Yeah, I mean I've not seen it, so I can't say either way.
Yeah. But otherwise, I caught up on Better Call Saul because I'd originally said that I was going to give it some time and just let the season finish and then go through it.
Okay.
Then that was kind of because I was watching X-Files on Tuesdays and I had generally a busy day then. But now I haven't got that, so I thought I'd catch up. And it's been pretty incredible. It's kind of an issue. It doesn't know how to do the Saul stuff and the Mike stuff together. The episode this week called Rebecca is a focus on Kim, the lawyer friend of Saul's, and kind of has been having her own plotline this season anyway.
Okay. I'm just I have no clue about this show, so...
And so it's an incredible spotlight on her, and then every now and again it cuts back to Mike's story, who's being played by Jonathan Banks and has been embroiled in it for the past season and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily clunky. It just comes across as an odd contrast when it's done. It's still a very good show, and I could probably watch it if it was just a general lawyer show.
Yeah. Without
kind of any connection to the Breaking Bad universe. And I feel like in a season and another season and a half, it'll be its kind of own thing without needing to be compared to Breaking Bad.
Okay.
I finished SteamWorld Heist, which is this game on the 3DS. Have you heard of SteamWorld Dig?
Yes, I've heard of that, yeah.
Okay, so it's from those guys, and it's still to do with the robots and Steam, but they, instead of making a sequel to Dig, which was essentially dig to the bottom, find the treasure, get out, it's what if we make a 2D turn-based strategy game in space?
Okay.
And it's really good. Each kind of boss level reinvents itself and asks you to, okay, so there are these shields and spawning waves and things, and now you've got to work out what to do. Now all of them are in the picture as well, and it kind of ricocheting shots off walls and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So, and I just kind of started Luigi's Mansion 2, again, just because it's short bursts of levels, which I can play when I feel like it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then reading, I managed to score the Immortal Iron Fist Omni for a very, very cheap price compared to what it's at the market, or the secondary market now. And so that's still a very fun run. I don't know whether I like Matt Fraction and David Ajar's Hawkeye more than it, but they're still both worth reading.
Yeah, I do want to sort of branch into other characters, so I'm considering picking that up at some point.
That's kind of the only Iron Fist you need.
Need to read.
Yeah, well, like you can kind of go back to the old 70s and 80s stuff, but at the same time, I don't think it'll be as impressive as it was at the time.
Yeah.
Just because some stuff comes across as dated now.
Yeah, as it would.
Yeah.
It's
As this stuff may in 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
Sorry.
So for me, what I've been watching, because as you said, we've got Daredevil coming up soon, so I've not started anything big, and I've not pushed forward with anything I'm sort of halfway through or anything, because I don't want to get to a sort of a big arc and have to conclude that.
Yeah.
So I've just been watching An Idiot Abroad, the Carl Pilkington, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant collaborative travel show where they essentially send Carl Pilkington around the world to piss him off. If you like Carl Pilkington's sense of humour and his, I guess, his typical British outlook on things, in that he doesn't like going to new places or trying new things, even if you don't think the same way, it's still hilarious to see his reactions to things. And I've watched it all before, but I enjoy it so much that I thought I would watch it again. And I've also started watching, because it's only short and it's the same sort of thing, Carl Pilkington's The Moaning of Life.
Oh, is that like kind of like different areas of the world, or
it's essentially, it's not done with Steve and Ricky, it's just Carl. It's the same sort of thing. They send him around the world, but it's to experience cultural rites of passage and try and figure out them for himself. Like, he's never been married and doesn't understand it particularly, so in the first episode he goes to India to look at arranged marriages. So it's that kind of thing, just getting a wider view on the world. And yeah, it's Carl Pilkington, so it's incredibly amusing. Really been enjoying rewatching An Idiot Abroad and watching this, because there's only 8 episodes I think of The Moaning of Life, so it's good.
Yeah, it's a short thing.
Yeah, if you like that stuff, if you like the Ricky Gervais show as a podcast, it's all got that same sort of vibe to it. It's very good. And I've also been rewatching Yu-Gi-Oh! After our discussion of what animes and stuff we'd recommend. This weekend just gone, I went back home to see my friends, and we sat in my friend's bedroom all day, all weekend and all night, in bed, watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And eating takeaway pizza. It was like being 16 again. We just...
Wait, being 16 again?
Yeah, this is what we did at 16.
That's a higher number than I was expecting.
No, this is what we did at 16, because we used to spend every Saturday at Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And then we'd come home and stay over at each other's houses and watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And get takeaway. So, yeah, it's quite a high number. That was, what, like 3 years ago? So, yeah, we did that, and we cracked out the entire first 42 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! In one weekend. So they're 20 minutes each. It was great. It's a bloody great show if you like that stuff. So yeah, as for what I've been reading, I finally got sent the first trade paperback of the Rick and Morty comics. Because I wanted to start collecting them and reading them ages ago, and it was 11 issues in at this point. So I thought, right, I'll pick it up from 11 and continue to buy it. I'll order the first 10 as a trade paperback. When that comes, I'll read it and start reading. Trade paperback I ordered in September, pre-ordered. It was meant to come in November.
Jesus.
And it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. It came 2 weeks ago, and I picked it up when I was at home at the weekend. It was months late. So I finally cracked on with that. I read the first however many were in the trade paperback and have continued on. It's great. If you love Rick and Morty as a TV show, cartoon, it is very much the same, because the art style can be exactly the same in the comic book. It's got people on board who love the show or have written for the show, and these could be episodes of Rick and Morty. They're that good. So
did we talk about how that's coming back earlier than expected?
No.
That's like December 2016, I want to say now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's like 13. It's a higher number than normal of episodes as well.
Oh, awesome. I love Rick and Morty. Oh, that's good news, because they said it was going to take like 2-3 years to knock it all out.
I feel like they got a budget increase maybe or something.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might have happened as well. So that's good news. I like that. So yeah, that's what I've been reading, and that's about it really. That's all I've done this week. That brings us to the end of the show for yet another week. We've been Who Knew? We go out on CSRfm 97.4 every single Monday for an hour between 6 and 7. Then we upload the full show online afterwards to iTunes and YouTube. You can subscribe subscribe to us and listen to us on iTunes. Find us on there by searching Who Knew, and please don't forget to leave us a review. That really helps us out. And on YouTube, you can find us by searching Who Knew Podcast. You can also find the show on Facebook and Twitter by searching Who Knew Pod on those respective websites, and us three hosts are on Twitter also. You can find me at BTDoobs, that's BTDOOBZ. You can find Matthew at
Matt_Sibley,
and you can find Annabelle at Unsatisfied, although I'm sure at this point she would tell us not to bother following her. As usual, we beg you to send us some letters so we can actually fill our letters section.
If it's a ransom letter, it's okay as well.
Yeah, we'll take that. If Annabelle's actually been kidnapped instead of being ill, then
if someone wants to forward us you haven't paid your student loans, we'll
read
deal with that
those
as well.
So you can contact us here in the studio at whoknewpod@gmail.com. And if you forgot any of that ridiculously long list of links and information, you can find all of this and more on our official website, www.whoknew.podbean.com. Thanks for listening, guys, and we shall see you next week.
See you in the next life, Jack.
Bye.